I'm over 60. Airports used to drain me. Long lines, heavy bags, endless stress. But then I learned 7 small tricks, and they changed the way I travel forever. For years, airports were a battlefield for me. The weight of luggage, the pressure of time, the rush of people younger and faster than I was. I remember standing in line for security, my back aching, wishing I had stayed home instead of visiting my children on the other side of the country. At 60, every journey felt heavier. My husband used to carry the bags, handle the check-ins. After he passed, the responsibility fell on me. That first trip alone, I almost cried at the gate, not because I missed my flight, but because I felt too old for the world of airports. Then something shifted. On one trip, a kind stranger saw me struggling and whispered a simple tip about boarding passes. That moment opened a door. I realized there were ways to travel smarter, not harder. Tricks, little strategies that no one teaches you, but once you know them, you never go back. I started collecting these lessons, from fellow travelers, from airport staff, from mistakes that cost me missed flights and lost bags. And over time, those lessons grew into 7 tricks that changed everything. I'll share them one by one. Not from a blog, not from a brochure, but from the lived experience of someone who thought traveling after 60 meant giving up comfort. It doesn't. It means traveling with wisdom. The first trick I ever learned was so simple that I laughed at myself for not knowing it sooner: the digital boarding pass. For years, I clutched printed tickets like lifelines. I would double-check them in my purse, then check again, certain I had lost them. Once, in Dallas, I dropped my boarding pass between the seats at the gate and nearly missed my flight. I told myself paper was safer because I could see it. The truth? Paper was just another thing to lose. It was a young woman in line at security who noticed my trembling hands, searching my bag for the ticket. She smiled gently and said, "Why don't you use the app? It's faster, and you'll never lose it." I hesitated. I had never trusted apps for something so important. But she leaned in and helped me download the airline's app, showing me how to add my boarding pass to my phone's wallet. A square of light on my screen replaced the stress of shuffling paper. The first time I scanned my phone at the security checkpoint, it felt like magic. No more digging through my purse, no more worry about crumpled tickets, just a clean beep and a wave forward. Now, I check in the night before every flight from the comfort of my couch. I choose my seat, confirm my bag, and walk into the airport already halfway done. That little square of light was the first step toward freedom. It made me realize something profound. The hardest part of travel isn't age, it's the weight of old habits. Once I let go of paper, I started letting go of the fear too, and that was only the beginning. For years, my biggest battle in airports wasn't the lines or the waiting, it was the weight. Lugging heavy bags through endless terminals felt like punishment. My shoulders ached, my back throbbed, and every escalator looked like a mountain. On one trip, I nearly tripped over my old suitcase trying to lift it onto the security belt. A man behind me, maybe in his 30s, caught it before it fell. He smiled and said, "Why don't you get one of the new 4-wheel spinners? They glide. You won't have to carry a thing." I had always thought my old suitcase was good enough. Solid, sturdy, bought in the 90s. But the next week, I walked into a luggage store and pushed one of those modern spinners across the floor. It rolled so smoothly I almost laughed. It felt like going from dragging a stone to sliding on ice. I bought one on the spot, lightweight, with compartments that made packing easier. Now I could walk through the airport without feeling like I was in a weightlifting competition. The handle adjusted to my height, so no more stooping, no more uneven steps. Packing became an art too. I learned to roll clothes instead of folding them, to choose outfits that matched more than once, to leave behind just-in-case items. Every unnecessary pound left behind was another ounce of freedom gained. The first time I glided through an airport with my new suitcase, I felt 10 years younger. My back didn't hurt. My hands weren't raw. For the first time, I looked around and actually saw the airport, the people, the shops, the journey, rather than focusing only on the weight I was dragging. That bag became more than luggage. It became a reminder that sometimes investing in comfort isn't luxury, it's survival. If there is one thing that used to drain me more than carrying bags, it was waiting. Long, snaking security lines that seemed endless, people sighing, shuffling, removing shoes and belts. By the time I reached the gate, I was already exhausted. It was my daughter who changed that for me. On a call before a trip, I told her, "I don't know if I can keep doing this. The waiting is worse than the flying." She laughed gently and said, "Mom, why don't you sign up for TSA pre-check?" I had heard of it, but I thought it was complicated, expensive, meant for frequent business travelers. She walked me through the process. An application, a short appointment, fingerprints. Weeks later, I received my known traveler number. The first time I used it, I almost cried with relief. A separate line, shorter, calmer. I kept my shoes on, my sweater too. No taking out laptops, no juggling bins like a circus act. I walked through, beeped once, and that was it. 5 minutes instead of 40. Suddenly, airports didn't feel like hostile ground anymore. They felt navigable. Later, a friend of mine over 70 told me about Clear, another program where your eyes or fingerprints replace your ID check. She said it made her feel like magic. I haven't tried it yet, but knowing these tools exist makes me feel empowered. Skipping the lines isn't about feeling special, it's about saving your strength for the moments that matter. At my age, energy is currency, and this trick gave me back hours I used to waste standing, aching, wishing the line would move. Now I arrive at the gate early enough to breathe, to grab a coffee, even to read a few pages of a book. Travel stopped being a test of endurance and became, slowly, a kind of joy again. There's a special kind of panic that only comes when you realize the one thing you need most is buried at the bottom of your suitcase. For me, it was medicine. Years ago, on a long layover in Atlanta, my blood pressure pills were in my checked luggage. The flight was delayed 6 hours. I sat there heart racing, more afraid of my body than of the plane. That day taught me something important. You can't trust airlines or time. You have to travel prepared. Now, I never set foot in an airport without my survival bag. It's a small crossbody tote, light enough not to slow me down, but big enough to hold the essentials. My medications, sorted in a clear pill organizer. A refillable water bottle, empty through security, filled right after. Protein bars and almonds, because airport food is expensive and unreliable. A phone charger and a portable battery, because nothing makes you feel older than begging strangers for an outlet. My passport, boarding pass, and a printed copy of my itinerary in case the phone fails. The first time I traveled with this bag, I felt like I had unlocked a secret level of calm. No more digging, no more worrying. On a flight delay in Denver, while others scrambled for overpriced snacks and outlets, I sat quietly, sipping water, reading a book on my Kindle, everything I needed within reach. It wasn't about control, it was about peace. The survival bag turned airports from hostile into manageable. Sometimes people tease me, "You're always so prepared." I just smile, because preparation isn't paranoia, it's dignity. And every time I sit at a gate with my bag on my lap, I think of that night in Atlanta, how afraid I felt, and how I'll never let myself feel that helpless again. The fifth lesson came after too many cramped flights where I felt like luggage myself. I used to accept whatever seat the airline assigned, telling myself, it doesn't matter, it's only a few hours. But when your knees ache and strangers lean into your space, a few hours feel like a lifetime. One day, a gate agent noticed my discomfort and whispered, "Always check the seat map the night before. Sometimes better seats open up for free." That night, I tried it. There it was, an aisle seat closer to the front. I switched in seconds. The difference was astonishing. I could stretch my legs, stand when I needed, and disembark without fighting the crowd. Now, I never fly without studying the seat map. I learned to avoid the last row, to choose aisle for mobility, to check sites like Seat Guru that show which seats recline and which don't. I stopped feeling like cargo. I started feeling like a passenger with choice. The sixth trick was even more surprising. Airport lounges. For years I thought they were reserved for the rich, hidden worlds behind glass doors, but on a long layover, my son added me to his credit card that included lounge access. Suddenly, I walked into a different universe. Quiet, clean, with free coffee, real chairs, even showers. The first time I sat in a lounge sipping tea away from the chaos, I felt younger, stronger, like I belonged in travel again. Later I discovered day passes are often affordable, sometimes less than what I'd spend on snacks in the terminal. Now, when I know I'll have a long wait, I invest in comfort, because rest is not luxury, it's survival. Those two tricks, choosing my seat and choosing my space, gave me back control. They reminded me that age doesn't mean surrendering to discomfort. It means learning where the quiet corners are and claiming them. The last trick didn't come from an app, a suitcase, or a lounge. It came from myself. For years, I thought traveling meant bringing everything I could possibly need, extra outfits, backup shoes, just-in-case items that weighed me down. My luggage was heavy because my fears were heavy. One day, standing at baggage claim after another delayed flight, I watched younger travelers stroll past me with only a carry-on. They walked free, while I waited for a carousel that spun endlessly. I thought, why am I giving hours of my life to this belt? The next trip I tried something radical, one carry-on, one personal item. I packed only what I loved, only what I truly used. A light jacket that went with everything, one pair of shoes that worked day and night, clothes that layered instead of duplicated. When I walked out of that airport, bypassing baggage claim, it felt like liberation. I wasn't chained to the carousel anymore. I wasn't afraid of lost luggage or broken locks. I was free to step into my journey immediately. And that's when I realized the deeper truth. Travel after 60 isn't about proving you can endure. It's about choosing ease, joy, and presence. The 7 tricks, digital passes, lightweight luggage, skipping lines, the survival bag, smart seats, hidden lounges, and packing light, aren't just about airports. They're about life. I don't travel to survive anymore. I travel to live. Now every time I glide through an airport, I smile at the younger me who once trembled in line, drowning in paper and heavy bags. She thought age was the end of adventure. She didn't know that wisdom was the passport she'd been carrying all along. And when I hear the boarding call, I don't rush. I walk steady, light, certain. Because after 60, travel hasn't ended. It's finally begun.